welcome to Seaside, California, where Monterey Bay FC welcomes in Eastern Conference side Miami FC right here at Cardinale Stadium. Tonight's match is presented by Taylor Farms. Well, it's a picture-perfect day here in Seaside, California. It's Star Wars night, and it's week 9 of the USL Championship regular season. Marion Crowder, along with the coach, Eric Dobransky. And Eric, it was a flurry of moves for Monterey Bay in the offseason. Saw them burst out of the gate, a 4-2-2 start. 9 goals scored in that stretch, but just 2 through their last 4.
Yeah, the goals have dried up in April, but this is not uncommon for teams navigating segments of the season where performances in either box sputter, but they have been able to maintain a stable form because of their work defensively. In 4 matches, they picked up 2 clean sheets, and if you don't concede, you can't lose.
We haven't really been able to see the full impact of those newcomers due to some key injuries, but make no mistake about it, the 2025 edition, Elijah Paul, he's already making his name known to the Crispin Kelp faithful.
And it's his variety and sharpness in the box. He is punishing opponents with his efficiency. He has 3 shots on target this season, and all 3 of those have been converted for goals, so he is converting at a high clip.
Offensive month of April for Monterey Bay. Will the force be strong enough to push the home side's offensive slump forward, or will favors stick with Miami, who has now won 3 regular season matches in a row? We're going to find out next.
As Montage Health celebrates its 90th anniversary, we're taking a look at the past, recognizing how we started and where we are heading. Over the decades, we have grown from a hospital to an entire healthcare system. Today, Montage Health remains an independent, locally owned, nonprofit organization. We are proud to offer healthcare services for every chapter of life. At Montage Health, our history of excellence is rooted in a commitment to our community. That commitment lives on today and for the next 90 years and beyond.
At Taylor Farms, our goal is to create healthier lives by creating healthy, fresh foods. A stronger community is a win for everyone. That's why each time the Monterey Bay Football Club scores a goal, Taylor Farms will donate $500 to a local nonprofit. Healthy goals, healthy lives. A more perfect union. We are Union!
Welcome back to Seaside, California. May the 4th be with you. Eric Dobransky, Marion Crowder alongside the coach, Eric Dobransky. We are going to take a look at the home lineup. Jordan Stewart, he's got a couple of changes in the lineup today. Most notably, Adam Larson makes his return, his first start since March 15th.
And a welcome sight for Monterey Bay, for a team that is looking for an uptick in the attacking box. And the 2 Nicos that anchor this team defensively, Nico Campuzano, not only making saves that keep this team in matches, but ones that win the games. And Nico Gordon is a playmaking defender, terrific vision, range, only enhances the multi-dimensional threat that this team poses on the ball.
And for Miami FC, a team who has made life difficult for their opponents of late. One big change, Felipe Rodriguez, the main starter from the 2024 campaign. He steps in, no Bill Hamid available today.
But an experienced back line in front of Rodriguez, and I think this is a big match for the midfield. Romero, Blanco, Mercado, can they win the battle of distances? Their opponent does a tremendous job of playing through the lines in transition, so they've got to make sure they're tight and compact in those moments. Offensively, win the wide areas, dynamic presence with Sorate and Gavilanes.
And there you have a look at Head coach Gaston Madoni, hired January 23rd of 2025. Eric, when he was hired, he told fans to expect a different style of play with this revamped roster, and they are looking for their 4th regular season win for the first time since 2023. Nico Campuzano, it's been otherworldly at times. The man leading the charge for Monterey Bay, Jordan Stewart, came in last year, August 5th, 2024. A really tough stretch of a record to close out the season, but already at a .625 win percentage. And we are underway here in Seaside, California. Marion Crowder alongside Eric Dobransky. We are so delighted to have you spend your Sunday afternoon with us.
And Marion, you brought it up when you were kind of touching on both coaches. You have to feel like Monterey Bay is where Miami FC wants to be sooner than later. Because you talk to Jordan Stewart, it's all about the culture, and it's all about having the right people in the building, the right people in the organization. And for Miami FC, and then obviously turning that into results, for Miami FC, it almost seems like they're ahead of schedule right now. I mean, obviously the 2 wins, the 3 in all competitions, with that win in the Jägermeister Cup against Tampa Bay Rowdies. So now for Miami FC, it's about that sustainability that Monterey Bay is starting to experience, and that consistency, that depth, that ability to not only compete, but compete at a high level and with such quality that Jordan Stewart's group has been able to do thus far in the season. And we've talked about it, the goal scoring has dipped a bit. But when you're as defensively strong and structured as they have been to start this season, you're going to give yourself plenty of chances to weave yourself back into that momentum and back into that rhythm.
Depth is a key piece that Jordan Stewart talks week in and week out about. And speaking of depth, obviously this is a depth that's not favorable to anyone. Roll and M attorneys present this injury report for Monterey Bay. Javi Nulati and Gutierrez continue to be on the Monterey Bay injury report. None reported for Miami, including Bill Hamid, who we told you in the starting 11 was not making the trip here to Seaside, California. Felipe Rodriguez, the main starter from 2024, gets his 2nd start of the year. It's a lofted ball, seeking Alan Gavilanes. He recycles it back. Acrobatics early on, why not? And Eric, we've talked about it off air. This is a historically defensive matchup. Good to see some offensive production early on.
It is, and you're seeing Miami FC play on the front foot, and they're doing it with winning possession higher up the field, having good collective numbers in and around the ball when they do regain possession. And that's typically a moniker for Monterey Bay, the ability to not only regain possession, but be positive with that first pass. A lot of the times you see teams, when they regain possession, they'll play sideways, they'll play backwards, and that allows their opponent to get back into shape and get back behind the ball.
At the top of the box, Sebastian Blanco sends another delivery, cleared away, and a misclear that will find its way back into the 18-yard box. Not a favorable bounce for Monterey Bay. Overlapping run, and a chance to hit that one into the back post side netting. Just gets under the striker's foot.
See how much attention Sebastian Blanco commands. Everybody from Monterey Bay is stuck into their areas, not wanting to move just yet, and it allows that overlapping run. Unable to connect that ball across.
First time we've seen Monterey Bay enter into their attacking half. Carlos Guzman send it to Sammy Gadiri. new signing for this Monterey Bay FC side. Talked about depth. He is a key example of that. Our head referee today is Brad Jensen. Gaston Madani has already done a bigger feat than most would have thought possible at this point in the season for Miami FC.
And with that said, they are yet to earn a clean sheet yet.
Yep. Leaking goals.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I mean, you'd mentioned the all-time series amongst these two teams and the one goal that has been scored for each of these teams in those matches. You almost feel like this is a matchup of something's got to give, because for Monterey Bay, mentioned the month of March with the 9 goals, and now April, the 2 goals. Bit hot and cold offensively, and then Miami FC growing into the season, starting to build a rhythm in both boxes, but still the goals they're conceding, I mean, they were down 3-0 to Tampa Bay Rowdies. Obviously that competitive nature got them back into the match, and some quality finishing, as you see the foul.
One of those pieces that Gaston Madani, I loved his transparency with us this week, was very evident that, hey, it's something we're aware of and we're working on. And a big focal point to that is pressure after they lose the ball and making sure that their rest defense is in proper positioning. Because this is a Miami team, as you're seeing early on, who's not afraid to push numbers forward into the attack. And Eric, as you know well, the risk to that is not having proper rest defense in transitional moments such as this. Well defended 1v1. Cavalanes picks it up in the midfield. Blanco driving. He's got options. Decides to go to his left. Zarate back to the midfield. Mercado will reset with time and space. Numbers in front of him, but ultimately well transitioned defensively from Monterey Bay.
You do have to like the tempo that both these teams are playing with, the ball popping off their foot, the decisive nature of their thoughts and their vision is coming together. I'll say Miami FC seem to be knocking deeper into the attacking third than Monterey Bay thus far, but this game is quite a pace where it's going from one defensive third to an attacking third pretty quickly.
Important to note, the beautiful weather here in Seaside, California. I say that to say it's not the case that this Miami FC side is used to. That's another piece that they're having to now implement into their training environments and also their game model, right? 15-minute pushes, and perhaps we're seeing what that will look like. Miami, very hot and humid environment, really hard to go all out in 90 minutes. This first 8 minutes of play has been a rapid tempo for the away side.
And I really like that concept for Miami FC. Break this game, each game into 6 15-minute periods. And going back to your point about what we were talking about with the goals conceded for Miami FC, it's been the first half woes for this side. 7 of their 10 goals allowed have been in the first half. 10 of 13 when you add in that Jägermeister Cup match at the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We talked about defensively Monterey Bay giving themselves opportunities in every match. When you keep clean sheets, when you're structured and you're so hard to break down, it's difficult to stay in games and to have to always chase games. I mean, that gets exhausting over a season.
Beautiful switch of play, finds the runner in, coming in, a goal! Early against the run of play for the home side. A direct ball, lovely switch of the point. And it's 2 passes into the back of the net. None other than Elijah Paul.
The quality and the timing is spot on from Monterey Bay. It is all 1- and 2-touch football. And what an electric start for Monterey Bay. I mean, this ball gets clipped good 50 yards across field, and 2 passes and you're in on goal. Elijah Paul just lives in areas where goals are scored, and he just buries that into the back of the net. These early starts for Miami FC continue to haunt them.
Yep. That goal was brought to you by Taylor Farms. And Monterey Bay are gonna try and go again. Having success on that left-hand side, they decide to bring it back centrally. And a shot from distance, as Miami did have numbers back that time to clog the central spaces. You have to wonder if that's not a moment where you could have had longer spell of possession if you're Monterey Bay.
Yeah, and I think that's something where they're gonna have to start blending in that aspect of it, where they can be a bit more choosy with when they keep it.
Blanco, so talented, sends that seeking ball across the face. Sebastian Blanco, a player that Jordan Stewart was very cognizant of. He and Bonfilio have special connection that we're already seeing. It's just not amounting to anything of quality.
And I guess when you've gone so many games, when you've conceded this early and conceded that many goals in the first half, the positive is you do have a sense that you can work yourself back into matches. I just don't know how, again, sustainable it is over a long season.
It's a good ball into the middle. Patience on the attack, and a bending ball that just goes wide. And we talk about it all the time, the confidence that strikers gain when they start to see the ball go in the back of the net. They're willing to take more creative looks. This is just well done from Larson.
Well, and that's that patience right there from Elijah Paul. The ability to recognize that he has his defender coming all the way across with pace, and that pace is going to take him well past.
Monterey Bay have found the rhythm. I think we would argue that perhaps in those opening 10 minutes, that 10th minute goal was against the run of play for Monterey Bay. We said many times in the opening stretch that Miami, you could tell they were on the hunt for an opening goal in the first 15 minutes. Now they find themselves down once again.
And I do think early on for Monterey Bay, it was a turnover here and there that did aid in that quick transitional attack for Miami FC. And once you start to mitigate that, and you start to minimize some of those louder turnovers in dangerous areas, then you have your opponent chasing, and this field becomes a lot bigger. Another great ball over the top.
1v1 on the far side, gets in line, continues on, finds the slip pass, and the finish just gets under the feet of Adam Larson. That's a platter sitting, waiting for you.
Just electric out here in the wide areas for Monterey Bay. Larson just unable to connect at all on that. He rolled out the red carpet in that space, and sometimes that's just the game reps that you're starting to get, and the familiarity in that area of the field.
I told you that Adam Larson spent an extended amount of time out with an injury. His first start since March 15th. We alluded to it in the open. So many pieces that were brought in for this Monterey Bay FC side, and we still haven't seen that full picture due to some unfavorable injuries, and that forces a save. Just an unmarked Adam Larson sitting at the top of the box, and you wonder where the focus is from the visitors after conceding that early goal.
Now it's becoming a bit more of an onslaught for Monterey Bay, and Miami FC have to be careful, because as much as we're saying that they've been okay playing from behind and conceding early, you cannot allow this to become a 2-goal lead. So we see Adam Larson, and you'll hear it all the time, some of the the hardest part of being a goal scorer is getting yourself in those areas.
Yep.
So, you know, he scuffed that finish just a bit. The one from Malongo played across, but he obviously read the spacing right. He read the timing. He had it spot on. It's just about connecting in that final action.
Oftentimes coaches will talk about that in a broader sense, right? You ask, how is your attack looking? You haven't scored in some time. And they say, hey, I'd be worried if we weren't creating chances. And then when you break that down into a more granular way like you just did, you see that that theory is actually all over the pitch, right? He did two of the three things right. He made the correct run, he was timed well, and he gets himself back on the ball. Good ball across. Trying to go for the near post that time. And the marking in the box, just all wrong for Miami FC. Very quick transitional actions for Monterey Bay.
Yeah, at this point, recognizing that you're going to defend a service, and you could see Knutson frustrated with whether it was the trail defender not communicating to Knutson that there was Adam Larson coming into that space. We see that blind shoulder run is so difficult to track, and Adam Larson being heavily involved here, as Malongo as well. He's been a handful here early.
Calls for a foul, won't get it. And Elijah Paul continues to work off the ball, and the late follow through will send it back in Miami's favor. You mentioned Miele Malongo has been such a handful. You're already seeing Elijah Paul's willingness to work in battle defensively.
Elijah Paul catching Miami FC player late, picking up a yellow. And that's an early yellow to be picking up for Elijah Paul, especially for somebody that is that disruptive attacking playmaker. I mean, he is relentless in the ability to press and force defenders into mistakes, and now you have to be a bit more measured when you go after some of those plays that have made you that threat off the ball.
One back by Monterey Bay, and the wayward passes are going to continue for Miami right into Route 1, but that's ultimately good transitional defense. They're going to have to settle for a corner, but I think they'll take that over a 1v1 with Felipe Rodriguez. Are these avoidable mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to be able to communicate to each other in terms of where and what space is available, and obviously be quality in those moments, because you're really aiding in your own demise right now, and have to defend this corner, and with a team that is very opportunistic right now in Monterey Bay.
This is a bagel corner kick. Adrian Revelar stands over it, set piece specialist. Very good quality deliveries. In swinging ball, high arcing, no one home at the back stick, but they will regain possession. A 2v1, and ultimately Luke Ivanovic was offsides, and it's going to send Miami racing the other way.
And I think what adds so much.
Oh man. Important to note the tone that was already set by our head referee, Brad Jensen. No doubt about it. We saw the early yellow card for Elijah Paul's first infraction, might I add. No doubt that that was going to be a booking.
It's so early in the game, and it really does you no good. And if anything, it just shows the opponent that they've got you frustrated already. And I think to add to that, I was just about to say that the confusing part of these slow starts for Miami FC, as we could see, Zarate, foul on Garcia, is that this is a veteran Miami FC side. Obviously,
it is.
Collectively obviously continuing to gel, but individually, I mean, Jonathan Ricketts, Akinyode, Knutson, Cardona, you go throughout the field. Sebastian
Gadiri.
Yeah,
Monterey Bay,
yeah.
Excuse me, but all veterans across the pitch.
Correct.
And you're seeing one set of veterans act one way,
yep.
one set of veterans act the other.
And I think that's where you wonder when they're going to get this course corrected, because it's just going to be so difficult to continue to have these slower starts. And before the goal, they had created some of those half chances and had created some moments where they had Sebastian Blanco faced up 1-versus-1 inside the 18-yard box. They were getting good looks. Obviously, none of them came off to become anything that tested Nico Campuzano, but still, you had to feel positive about the start.
Tight quarters on the far side. And ultimately, Miami gets out of it with numbers driving forward. No pressure on the ball. He's just going to continue. The idea was there. The backside shoulder run. Ball just couldn't be threaded through properly. Malongo and Elijah Paul doing some work over there, and that ball's going to be brought back for a throw-in. What a handful those two could be.
And what makes it even more difficult, and I think one of the more underrated elements of this Monterey Bay side, is their individual passing range. You look across the field, obviously we talked about the experience with Sammy Gadiri, and you go across the lineup, and you know, Jordan Stewart, he mentioned that he wanted 2 starters in each position. But the makeup of these players, obviously different characteristically, but they all have tremendous passing range. They can clip a ball with quality and that accuracy that unlocks certain spaces that we've seen already early on, that those 30, 40-yard balls across the field, down the field, makes it very difficult for teams to defend that when you have that in your toolbox.
And that foul is going to be called on Adam Larson. Another relationship I think that the Crisp and Kelp fans are going to be excited to continue see growing is the relationship between Adam Larson and Adrian Rebelar. You're seeing little moments of it here and there. Again, this is a group, you just alluded to Jordan Stewart and the fact that he was adamant to have 2 starters, true starters that could start for any roster in this league, available at every position on the field. We haven't really seen what the full picture is going to look like. Adam Larson returning from injury. The intelligence that he and Adrian Rebelar share on the pitch will be an interesting one to see continue growing.
And one that you're only going to see flourish in game reps, because you can mimic it all you want in training. You can replicate game-like scenarios. You can do everything you want to, but until you're doing it against an opponent in real time, you're not getting that true sense of problem solving, collaboration, the rhythm, the tempo.
The rapid fire tempo that this game started with. Monterey Bay happy to take a little bit of the bite away. But it's that same big switch of the point. It's Gordon all the way to the left-hand side, Malongo. A cheeky ball into the mix. The finish, ultimately on frame, finds a traffic cone.
Yeah, it would almost benefited Adam Larson to clear the path and get out of the 6-yard box, because it's touch from Rebelar. It almost looked like it had everyone beat, and it skipped through all the traffic except Adam Larson. Not 100% that was goal bound, but didn't have the opportunity to find out.
Well, the good news for the fans is that we mentioned it in our open, in this head-to-head contest of 3, the sides have managed just 1 goal apiece. Perhaps we see a comeback, perhaps we see the need for 2 goals, and this becomes a bit more offensive than the defensive history we've seen between these 2 sides. It's a lovely ball over to the right-hand side. High arcing service into the box. The rebound finds another Monterey Bay jersey, and they just couldn't connect on the cross. It feels like at times this Miami FC side content with just standing in vacant spots inside the 18-yard box instead of picking up actual runners.
And that's a great point, because right now they're losing second and third actions. That's where Monterey Bay is punishing Miami FC. And that's that anticipation piece, and something that they're gonna have to get a hold of. They are retreating into their box very quickly, and then to the point you just made, not occupying some of those dangerous spaces that Monterey Bay are finding and accessing.
Monterey Bay tries to flick that on, finds a foul here by the way of Luke Ivanovic.
Does look like Ivanovic has made his case for him being the one over it. Group started out as 4, went to 3, and then thinned out to Ivanovic. See what he elects to do.
Luke Ivanovic, a very vertical run up from the ball. Directly behind it, goes for goal, hits the woodwork. Just didn't have enough dip on it. But Malongo picks up the second phase of play, sends it back across the face of goal, and Miami does just enough, but it's cleared only as far as Larson on the near side. Doesn't even take a touch, just sends it back towards the numbers. Malongo goes for it as well, soaring over the bar.
And this is struck with some venom. It's just so difficult to not only beat the wall, but then beat the goalkeeper. Just smash the crossbar. And
enter the Prinks Tires Tailgate Kit Sweepstakes for a chance to win a prize pack worth up to $3,000. Scan the QR code on screen to enter today. At some point, I will be able to read in this 90 minutes. I'll let you know when that is. Obviously wasn't that
I'll be here.
You're not going anywhere?
No.
Okay, good deal. Well, Garcia Jr. throw in on the near side. Miami, several numbers back behind the ball at this point.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine as they continue to lose second and third actions that they're only going to become more and more pinned into their own defensive third, and then you're going to see every outlet available disappear, and that's going to be something that is going to have to be adjusted, and you have to have those levels, and that's what I mentioned earlier, that the battle of distances. This game is all about distances. Obviously, you have starting positions, you have those areas, but you've got to win that proximity, and now you got to deal with this free kick.
It's none other than Adrian Rebelar standing over it. Local Monterey Bay product. Doesn't clear the near post, but he finds it once more. A higher arcing ball this time into the backside, and appeals for a foul from Carlos Guzman, who you saw go down in that scrum for the second ball.
Yeah, even when Monterey Bay is not even in possession off these free kicks, they're recollecting the ball off a clearance, any sort of second and third wave, they're back on it and having another opportunity.
Miami FC desperate for an outlet at this moment to try and get themselves some territory. They're gonna have to defend this corner first. Revelar's gonna make sure it's perfect as our head referee tends to some players. Sometimes you have to turn into a principal. There's just no way around it. Ball into the box, goalkeeper goes down, and that will be an immediate foul the other way.
It's an unenviable task being referee. I think being a fourth official is,
Fourth officials have a rough life.
Yeah, I don't know who signs up for that.
I'm guessing it's not you.
Yeah. Time you see the fourth official getting talked to by the coach, you just know that conversation isn't just a, hey, how are you doing?
No, absolutely not. Rarely ever is it that positive. So if you are Miami FC, you have struggled to collect any type of second and third ball. And now you have numbers on the far side, and ultimately your options run out and you're forced to settle for a bad shot from distance. Window wasn't there. Eric, if you're Miami FC, how do you start to get out of some of this consistent pressure that they're facing?
You've got to start getting your levels right. I just don't think that right now they are just stacked right on top of each other, and they're occupying the same space. And it just makes it incredibly difficult to get any sort of handle of the ball defensively, offensively. Then when you do regain possession, you're literally right next to your teammate. So you have no outlet, no ability to stretch Monterey Bay. But here early on in the season, Miami FC has gone through stretches where they've haven't looked lively. They have not looked collective. Obviously, they've been way more competitive the beginning of this season than last season, and that's something that they continue to harp on, is that culture of being competitive. And obviously we mentioned the experience. That's something that experience gives you, is that ability to compete and be vicious with that competition and knowing that it's not over, because you watched that game against Tampa Bay Rowdies. Yeah. I mean, you just thought it was only going to get worse than 3-0. And
Cavalanez goes for the inline. He'll be out for a corner kick for Miami FC. I think that's a wonderful point. Oftentimes people utilize the word outlet and how do we get our outlets involved, and they don't realize that the shape cannot be flat for the outlets to be available. It's a wonderful point from you. The coach, Eric Dobransky, Marion Crowder, we're happy to have you here on this beautiful day in Seaside, California. Set pieces, a place where Castani felt like his team was allowed back into it. Will they be today? Not on this one. It's not caught cleanly. And Campuzano does enough to send Bonfilio outside the distance. Campuzano has been very active for the 2025 campaign to start. Been a bit quiet here today, as ultimately this ended up being an offside flag.
Yeah, once you start reaching this stretch of the season, and it's still early, but scouting reports get more and more detailed. You get a good look and a good sense of the structure, the identity of each team that you're playing, even though this is an East and West matchup.
Forced save from Niku Campuzano. One thing we've seen from this Miami FC side, you've alluded to it, their ability to have individual moments of brilliance at any given time.
Yeah, poorly played out for Monterey Bay. You win it, and eyes on goal right away, and now Sebastian Blanco on this corner.
Ultimately, nothing for Niku Campuzano to fret about.
Campuzano having to come up big on that save. I know he parried it out for a corner, but my goodness, from going to being in possession to all of a sudden having to deal with a shot kind of surprises you sometimes as a goalkeeper, but kind of routine for Campuzano, who's already had 3 saves of the week in the USL Championship.
Clears this one away under a bit of duress from Miami FC's pressure. And a push in the back will send a free kick from Miami the other way.
It's always fascinating how delicate this game is. You just have Monterey Bay on the front foot. They're explosive on the ball. They're spraying the ball over the field. And now they've hit a bit of a lull here the last 5-7 minutes, and we've seen a couple corner kicks for Miami FC, seen their confidence grow. And it does start with winning the ball higher up the field. You're not having to go 120 yards up and back. That obviously helps, but you can almost feel that as this first half wears on and time ticks away, that Miami FC feel like they've weathered a storm and they can go and find one themselves. They just need one moment of brilliance for that breakthrough.
Romero will play it out wide. Another strike from distance, and for a goalkeeper that has the caliber that Nico Campuzano is playing with at this moment, those are going to be tough to sneak by him.
And for Monterey Bay, they've done a good job right now of mitigating Bonfiglio. I mean, he has not been on the ball in some of those dangerous spaces. I mean, going back to the point of the scouting reports, you look at Miami FC, they have 6 goals in the regular season. Half of those are from Bonfiglio, so 3 of the 6. Then 2 of them are from Knutson, who's the center back. And then, so you go, let's have somebody else beat us.
Ivanovic somehow gets the service off, a blind service, and will find the feet of no one. And that's a much better look at the shape for Miami FC. Outlet available. And they find Alan Gavilanes on the left-hand side. He's got the overlap. Opts to go central. It's Romero. Zarate. Inline, gets around the corner and sends a ball into the box. And the rebound is soared.
Yeah, Cardona a bit ambitious on that take. Probably could have taken a touch and then reevaluate what Miami FC had available, but again, this is better for Miami FC.
Much.
I think to your point where you were able to play in that pocket, I've always told players that your responsibility when you regain possession, that first pass has to be 100% completed. Whether it, obviously you'd prefer it be forward, but even if it's sideways or backwards, you have to retain possession. When it comes from a 50-50 moment or a ball regain in your own box, you're playing an outlet. Your responsibility as the player on the ball is to make sure that next pass is completed to your team, and it allows you the opportunity to get big, get expansive, and then start to reload offensively.
Look at Sammy Gadiri, who threw that ball in. Signed a 1-year contract in March of this year. Debuted for the team April 19th. Versus Lexington SC, appeared once more in their most recent match versus New Mexico United on April 23rd. A longtime professional, one of the veterans that you mentioned when talking about the depth piece for this Monterey Bay side. Really has gone through all the rankings of USL. Started in 2018 with USL League Two, 2019 with Greenville Triumph, a couple more League One clubs before finally making his MLS debut with Inter Miami in 2021. A couple starts with DC United in the mix as well. It's a good ball. Success on this left-hand side for Monterey Bay seems never-ending.
Yeah, they've obviously honed in on something that they are looking to exploit, and until Miami FC figures it out, why not?
Here's your bagel corner kick. Revelar into the box, not caught cleanly, but a fortunate bounce right back into the glove for Felipe Rodriguez. Getting it through traffic. Ball sent up into the midfield line, and a good look, a good idea. Runner's just a bit too late. It's Monterey Bay the other way, a nice move, and then the look from distance from Malongo just pulls it wide. It's very interesting. Mayele Malongo, a player that, if you look at the stats, probably doesn't say anything much about him. You watch the film, entirely different story.
I mean, it is scary when you get him isolated one-on-one. I mean, obviously he didn't get the best crack at the finish, but just the aggressive nature that he presents, that pace that he plays with.
Sebastian Blanco from the top of the box. Goalkeeper's really struggling to collect cleanly here today. It's recycled. We'll find a 50-50 challenge that Gadiri wins. The rebound, a nice little slip ball. And Campuzano comes up big.
Yeah, there have been some from distance that have snuck up on Campuzano. He's had to push them away a bit awkwardly. But then when it comes up, you see this one sneaks away, and you just got to get down and parry it wide. But some of these ones that have been in and around the 6-yard box, he has been terrific with.
Won by Monterey Bay, but only as far as Cardona. Doing much better here to keep the ball in front of them, winning all phases of play at the moment, and a poor giveaway from Sebastian Blanco. Oh, interesting, referee will play advantage there. And absolutely. Very well done by our head referee. Plays advantage. Monterey Bay ends up getting a free kick in a higher portion of the field.
And you see both teams with players with their hands up, so I don't know what Miami FC is pleading for, but as you mentioned, the center referee does a terrific job of allowing play to advance, and Monterey Bay earn a free kick here at midfield, and wouldn't they really enjoy one more quality look at goal before this break? Saw a few of them from Adam Larson as we see Jordan Stewart. Got to be overall pleased with his team's performance thus far. I mean, you almost have to look at it and feel like they would feel like they deserve a second goal with some of the chances that they've created, it just unable to execute in that final moment. But the way they're flooding the box, the way they are controlling second and third balls, winning duels, I mean, those are all elements and recipes for you to control tempo and control the temperature of a game and sustain it. Obviously, you're going to have to suffer in some sort of form or fashion in matches. I mean, you talk to anybody, there's going to be the ebbs and flows of you're not going to see the ball as much as you want to. You're going to have to defend, but you do also get to choose how you suffer, and that's where Monterey Bay has done a terrific job. They've protected their goal. They've minimized some of the loud opportunities for Miami FC, and they've made it difficult to break them down.
It's the Miami FC side, however, that if you give them an inch, they have been taking miles of late. Overall, Jordan Stewart can be pleased, but there have been some dangerous pockets of space for this side to operate. Gavilanes, that's a good ball! Did it cross the line? Monterey Bay saying no. The visitor saying absolutely. Bonfilio going to plead his case with the side referee. No VAR in the USL Championship. The decision that's made will stand.
This will be a fascinating look at it, because looks like you get quality numbers. Oh, and that looks well over the line.
Sebastian Blanco, who has been very active so far in this first half. That's a bit of a tough angle to see. I think the best look we had was the first one we showed you.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a deeper conversation going on in terms of, I don't see a foul that would be anything that would obstruct the play from continuing there. I mean, was there an offside? Was there foul? There's just...
It's a lovely point from you that there was no foul, and the reason that that's important, as we're watching the replay again, we have the benefit of replay, our referees do not. But as we're watching the replay, the closest player in proximity to Nico Campuzano was actually a Monterey Bay defender. It was Sammy Gadiri, so the question of it being a foul on Nico Campuzano is no more. I'd be hard-pressed to believe that that's what the side referee saw. Nonetheless, Miami FC is going to feel very hard done.
I was going to say, hopefully they have no way of seeing that at halftime, because, or, I mean, you show it.
Like the fire,
yeah,
baby.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you could take it one way or the other. You could feel hard done and have the poor me attitude, or you could come out absolutely ripping and roaring in the second half. But again, I just wonder if there was a conversation that Sebastian Blanco was having with the head referee, that there was a push or some sort of action that negated what it did look like, the ball going over the line.
It certainly did. I think everyone that saw that first initial replay agrees that it looked to be that way.
And it looked like Campuzano's momentum took him into his own goal. Monterey Bay, no harm, no foul, I guess, in terms of you get away with one. And see at that moment, and that's where I'm looking at Bonfiglio, if he has a push on Sammy Gadiri, but there's no, I mean, right there at the end, but that's already after the,
yeah. Exactly, that's after the action that's really the one in question. You don't negate a call or a goal for what happens after the goal.
Yeah, and that sequence coming right as you were saying that you give Miami FC an inch and they'll take the mile, and they are a nuisance. I mean, they are that team that you could feel like you have all the momentum and all the control, but they'll hit you with one attacking sequence that punishes you. And for Monterey Bay, it's going to have to be, that definitely changes the narrative of the talk at halftime, because you do feel like you created a lot of chances, you had a lot of good moments, but you did give away some big chances to Miami FC, and you have to definitely be detailed there in the second half.
It was a slow start for the visitors, a dream start for the home side that saw Elijah Paul get on the score sheet in the 10th minute. We've got drama, we've got controversy, and we'll have more when we come back.
Hi Monterey Bay FC fans, my name is Jeremy Vanderkratz. I'm the owner of Signs by Van, a local sign company that's been in business since 1981. With over 25,000 signs built to date, we have the largest running staff in all of Monterey County. But don't take my word for it, have a look around Cardinelli Stadium and you'll see our craftsmanship all around you. Find your way in, find a drink, find your food, find your seat, and find us at signsbyvan.com.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Are you paying too much for your car insurance? Call Coast Auto Insurance to receive a free quote and see how much you could save. Coast works with over 50 different insurance companies to make sure you get the best rate for your car, motorcycle, home, or business. Coast is a local company with local people. We do vehicle registration, SR22, and insurance for Mexico. Call Coast Auto Insurance today for a free quote and see how much we can save you. Or go to coastautoinsurance.com, where your peace of mind is guaranteed.
SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Welcome back to halftime, where Monterey Bay FC hold a 1-0 lead over the visitors Miami FC. The 2025 USL Jägermeister Cup involves all 38 teams from the USL Championship and League One. They're all taking a shot at glory at the end of this season. Here's your Jaeger Cup Round 1 review.
Morris drives it. Header! Darren Smith in stoppage time, of course! Abukora serves it up the header! Loudon steals all 3 points at the death! It's Erlinson, the substitute! Plenty of space in behind. This is Oden, across for Enderlong, and Naples in front. A 5-star counter, and it's USL League One's goal-scoring leader on the score sheet. Blake thought about it. A teasing touch, Blake laid off, back for Blake! A picture book goal for Indy 11 to double the lead.
For the lefty.
Won't be Bonfiglio, and they score another! How about that? Tobias Zaate finds a spot. Tapped in, and we are tied. Nick Worth is denied, and Miami FC able to get by Tampa Bay. What a moment here in the Jägermeister Cup.
Left in for Waldeck, who beams it across. Louis Hill does what he does. Spokane sky high, 1-0. Reedy ready to release. Lewis paved in, and one Pelaez plows home. And this time, he makes sure to make good. And the lead is 2 in Spokane.
Well, you can't say there isn't drama in the USL Jägermeister Cup. You've seen penalties, you've seen bangers, you've seen upsets, and I promise you we have more drama here as Monterey Bay tries to fend off their 1-0 lead at home. When we come back, news and notes from around the league.
Here's Edward Kizza! Is he the hero again?
Promotion relegation coming to the U.S.?
How do you implement it? How long does it take?
Pro-rel would absolutely be it.
It's time for us to be bold and ambitious and make a move.
Okay, promotion relegation. We've opened Pandora's box.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Whoa, termites can eat a pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
Pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
What's wrong, Daddy? Daddy? You okay?
Keep termites out of your home and your head with our premium guarantee that covers up to $250,000 in new termite damage. Before panic shows up, Terminix it.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador, Spiked Bebidas.
As Montage Health celebrates its 90th anniversary, we're taking a look at the past, recognizing how we started and where we are heading. Over the decades, we have grown from a hospital to an entire healthcare system. Today, Montage Health remains an independent, locally owned, nonprofit organization. We are proud to offer healthcare services for every chapter of life. At Montage Health, our history of excellence is rooted in a commitment to our community. That commitment lives on today and for the next 90 years and beyond.
Welcome back to Week 9 of the USL Championship regular season. We're at Cardinal Stadium. Monterey Bay FC, a 1-0 lead over Miami FC, who is looking for their 4th straight win in a row for the first time since 2023. That would be a news slot for next week. But for this week, Eric, we continue to talk about the Open Cup. Everybody loves it. 12 USL Championship clubs advancing. It's going to be much more fun with the MLS sides. A lot more pride involved. But the big one, the changing of the guard down there in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, Mark Briggs, a former USL Championship Coach of the Year, won the Players' Shield with Real Monarchs in 2017. The list goes on and on of what he's accomplished. And then a game that you're familiar with yesterday, Rhode Island FC opening up fantastic new stadium. The venues in the USL Championship just continue to enhance themselves, and it's just incredible to see this league grow and those organizations have such beautiful stadiums to play in.
Yeah, 10,500 strong. They have to settle for full. We'll be right back to see if that can indeed happen. 3 points here will send this Monterey Bay side to the top of the Western Conference table. Stick around. We'll find out what happens next on ESPN+.
Hi Monterey Bay FC fans, my name is Jeremy Vanderkratz. I'm the owner of Signs by Van, a local sign company that's been in business since 1981. With over 25,000 signs built to date, we have the largest running staff in all of Monterey County. But don't take my word for it. Have a look around Cardinale Stadium and you'll see our craftsmanship all around you. Find your way in, find a drink, find your food, find your seat, and find us at signsbyvan.com.
California. Well, for the 1-0 scoreline, there was a lot more drama than that. As we take a look back at our first half highlights.
You speak truths. I mean, there was a lot of action for a 1-0 first half, and it started with Miami FC asking the question.
Completely agree with you. It was a half that truly ebbed and flowed. First 7 minutes, first 10 minutes really felt like it was all in Miami FC's favor, except for the most important part, the scoreline.
One goal, so you started to see the positive trend in both boxes kind of come to fruition, and then they rattled off 3 straight wins in all competitions, the 2 in regular season and then the 1 in the Jägermeister Cup.
I don't think it's silly at all. I think when you look at this Miami FC side and what their realistic next step is, I would call it pragmatic, right? I mean, it'd be a bit alarming if Gaston Madani came into this and said, hey, we're going to fight for a title. We're going to fight for a top 4 spot, home field advantage, all of those things, right? No, it's about taking a realistic next step, and to put that into perspective, this Monterey Bay side, their loss to Miami last year was just 1 of 3 wins for Miami throughout the entirety of the 2024 season. Brought in new head coach, obviously, veteran players, veteran leadership, players who know how to win. And now they're starting to find and form their own identity. And so for anyone that's thinking it's a bit silly to say, hey, they need to, the evolution of this team is to be in games, I promise you it's not. Can they find a way to get back into this one? Vukanovic with time and space lofts it into the box. Miami FC will clear. Monterey Bay will regain possession. A storyline, a theme, very evident in the first 45 minutes.
And as we talk about being competitive, mentioned our conversation with Jordan Stewart, the culture piece being that first piece, that is under the topics of being competitive. That is a massive culture piece. Flipping the narrative where you're competing day in and day out, and to what Jordan Stewart had mentioned about having a starter and 2 starters in each position, that's to add competition, obviously the depth, but you also want to add that ability to, that if somebody's not in form and you need some production out of a certain position, there's another player to step in and create that uptick and enhance that moment.
Zarate 1v1 to the end line, gets the service across, but it finds the feet of Carlos Guzman, who connects it nicely to Adrian Rebelar. It's a wonderful touch from Malongo. A foul forced.
And it was such a heavy touch by Malongo. There's no need for...
The possession would have been won back by Miami FC.
Yeah, Jonathan Ricketts picks up a yellow on play that would have clearly been possession for Miami FC. But that also lends itself to what Malongo has been in the first half, and now here to start the first 5 minutes of the second half is a problem. It's been a handful. He's been difficult to deal with out in those isolated wide areas. He's had a lot of success on that left flank. A left flank that did produce the goal for Monterey Bay. You almost think from what we saw in the first 45 that the numbers would be a bit more skewed, but you look at final third entries, they're almost level. I mean, 24 for Miami FC, 30 for Monterey Bay, but the touches in opposition box are dead even at 16 apiece. So obviously both these teams finding some success in those final third entries.
Gaston Hamadani told us that eventually his ideal identity is to be known for their offensive aggression. What they're trying to grow into now is to also be a team that can hold longer spells of possession within that aggression. Feels like the USL in general is very offensive, and little by little, his team is getting there. Your stat proves just as much.
And you see a lot of teams, I mean, across the USL Championship, to add to your point, that have opened themselves up offensively, and they're like, hey, if this means that we concede maybe a goal a game, but we score 2 to 3, and we don't collect as many clean sheets, we'll take it.
And that will ultimately go out for a goal kick. Yeah, but you look at the evolution of a team like Charleston Battery, right? Completely changed the way they play over the last couple of years and started to push heavy numbers forward. Ultimately, we just saw that score at half, 4-2 Hartford, but matters not. 3 points is 3 points. It also changes the type of players that you start to recruit if you're a head coach. Obviously, Ben Pierman over there at Charleston Battery had to find players who are good, playing in tight channels of space, playing ticky-tack type of soccer, being hungry. As Miami FC enters the 18-yard box yet again, that pass finding no one. The trail runner was seeking just a hair late, and Adrian Revelar, with all the acrobatics, is going to try to go route one. Akinyoti, veteran player that you mentioned earlier, Eric, pleading his case for a yellow card.
Yeah, he's adamant about wanting a yellow on Adam Larson, and not sure what Akinyoti is asking for. I don't know if there was something before the play as well, but
planting the seed.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's what veterans do, don't they?
Absolutely.
They know how to influence the game while the ball's in play and in these stoppages.
And the profile would fit. Adam Larson, the player he's complaining about, a self-described bulldog. And anytime someone is describing themselves as a bulldog, you can trust that it's true. High energy motor, an ease to just how quick he is, and a keen nose for goal. Probably the most anticipated newcomer of this 2025 Monterey Bay team.
Well, and then if you're Akinyoti and you're playing a player that says they're a bulldog, if you put them on a yellow, you know you're not going to get as many kind of pushes in the back.
Absolutely.
The physicality is going to be a little less likely.
Bolu Akinyoti, such an experienced player. Nearing the 100 mark, appearance mark for this Miami FC side. Ball at the top of the box. Who can regain possession? Monterey Bay will clear their lines. Adam Larson chasing. And Miami FC will reset all the way at the back with Felipe Rodriguez. Played on the half turn ever so well. Ball sent down the channel. And Monterey Bay content with letting Miami FC go 2v2 out here. And they were right in that decision. Nothing of harm to Niku Campuzano. That'll be the end of the night for Alan Gavilanes as Lucas Milano comes into the match. along with Michael Lawrence, a player who Gaston Madani felt was excellent in their comeback against Tampa Bay Rowdies. We showed you at halftime. What a dramatic turn of events.
Yeah, the substitutions in that match were impactful, to say the least. I mean, they all had a hand in the 3 goals. Milano had the equalizer on the free kick. And then the 4 penalty kick takers were all substitutes for Miami FC. So you talk about having an influence in the result. That is a testament to that. And that's what you want to do. If you're a player that's asked to come in as a substitute and that's your role, you want to enhance and have that positive output.
Well, today's substitutions are brought to you by BBSI. Impactful subs for both sides, no doubt about that. As you get a look at Luther Archimed, just 10 minutes so far in this 2025 campaign. Spent the 2024 season out with a knee injury that he suffered on May 7th against his former club, Sacramento Republic.
And you just continue to hear the upside to his game, and when he can get fully fit and healthy and flying, he's going to be another problem for opponents and another piece for Monterey Bay to an already multi-dimensional attack. I think for Monterey Bay, it's just about maybe the consistency and the sustainability of the collective. You haven't seen a lot of midfield play.
Agreed.
Today in terms of, I mean, Fonguk is somebody that is typically on the ball, and I don't know
barely
if
called his name.
Yeah, I don't know if we've mentioned him in any of these attacking sequences. Obviously, every game has a story of its own, and it has a life of its own. It's going to ask you to do certain things. It's going to demand certain things. But you hear so many teams be adamant about their identity and them being the ones that set the tone. So that's going to be that next evolution for Monterey Bay, is how do you sustain it and impact it every single game.
That's a wonderful point, and you have to wonder if, as that ball will be called back for offside, should have been, would not be, let him play on. But back to your point, you have to wonder if the tempo, the very decisive tempo that Miami started this match with, did not affect Monterey Bay's ability to set their own identity. And Wes Fonguk, who you just mentioned, maybe having to do a bit more of the defensive work, realizing just how willing this Miami FC side was in terms of sending numbers forward.
And that goes back to that bigger conversation that we've been having, that culture piece, that competitive piece. 3 points is 3 points.
Absolutely.
I mean,
ugly, pretty,
yeah,
both, doesn't matter.
That's where I, as a coach, as somebody that's been around the game a long time, I could always appreciate the identity portion of it. But I also, winning's different. I mean, how you get it done, nobody really checks the stat book and says, oh, well, you won 1-0 and you only had this, you collected the points and you got the win, and that's a big part of the learning curve for some of those teams that go from being competitive to flipping that result, that 0-0, that 1-0 loss, to now you're picking up all 3. That's something that has to be learned.
Absolutely. There's a difference in being competitive, winning a few games of stretches, and trying to compete for titles. And ultimately, you have to think that Monterey Bay's ambition will be there at some point, obviously trying just to make the playoffs for the first time since this club's inception this year. Jordan Stewart has been very vocal about that, has put the goal out in front of the media, out in front of the group, rightfully so. And this free kick will be sent into the box with absolutely no runners attached to it.
And when you look at Monterey Bay, the way that they're built, the roster, the way that Jordan Stewart has them playing, you do have this sense of belief that this is sustainable, because once you start getting into the middle portion and the latter portion of the season, everybody knows your identity. Everybody knows the way you play, the way you want to play out of the defensive third, through the middle third, to the attacking third. But the way that they have been diverse in their attack, coming into this game, out of the 11 goals they scored in the regular season, they were from 6 different goal scorers.
Yep.
Now, obviously, Elijah Paul gets back on the score sheet tonight, so it's 12 goals now, still 6 different goal scorers. But when you have that kind of variety, it does lend itself to opponents having to figure out, well, who do we stop? Because if we focus all of our attention to Elijah Paul, then Malongo's a problem. Well, if we focus all of our attention to stopping the wide play, now you've just got Adam Larson back. I mean, this is a team that is built to be difficult to make tough decisions with.
And the beautiful part about that is that it's a replication of training, exactly. And Jordan Stewart has actually realized that. He said, one thing I've noticed is that teams are already starting to play us differently. We scout them that they're gonna come out and play us one way. They play us a completely different way. And at that point in time, it becomes up to the 11 players on the pitch mostly to figure out. Malongo searching, free player at the back post. And Luke Ivanovic hits that one right into the hands of Felipe Rodriguez. Almost felt like he had too much time and space, overthought the finish. It's brilliantly done by Malay Malongo.
And you do credit Miami FC a bit here because they did narrow the channels enough to make it where Ivanovic only had the opportunity to go at Felipe Rodriguez, because you did feel like there was a lot of time to make a decision in that run-up.
Best thing that defenders can do often for their goalkeeper is to make the play predictable. You make a wonderful point. That shot window, all that was open to Luke Ivanovic, gave definite edge in that situation to Felipe Rodriguez, as our head referee is going to have a conversation with Sebastian Blanco. But back to our point about the training environment. After Jordan Stewart realized that teams were playing them differently than they were scouting, he felt like it was up to the 11 players on the pitch ultimately to be able to solve different problems in real time. And so training has emulated just that, putting them in different situations, making it more difficult oftentimes in the 90 minutes they see through the week. And so I think that is also a reflection, a big reflection of the culture piece continuing to show itself for this Monterey Bay side.
I mean, isn't that what every player wants, is the empowerment?
Freedom.
Yeah, the freedom,
Absolutely.
being empowered to make decisions, collaborate. If you're seeing something different, you're the one playing the game. Make the change. And every time we've talked to Jordan Stewart, he's been high and big on the opportunity that his players and the freedom they have to make those decisions.
We've got a lot of fuss down here at the end line. Jonathan Ricketts is involved, Sebastian Blanco is involved, Sammy Gadiri involved.
As Miami FC continue to find themselves in deeper and deeper spaces, these are the plays and the free kicks they're trying to create. I think the concern for Monterey Bay right now is just how quickly Miami FC is able to go from their defensive third through the middle third and then all of a sudden be in the attacking third, just as...
Ball into the box, had the late runner, but ultimately cleared away nicely from Monterey Bay.
Just as that example, 1-2 passes and they were into the attacking half, so that's going to be something. Now, they've defended their box and their goal well. I mean, they have not... They've only given up a couple of loud opportunities.
A slip ball seeking the late runner, but there was no one there, and you have to think that the right option for Lucas Milano was to actually pick his head up and see the near post.
And this ball slipped through. He almost felt like his touch could have taken him a bit, closer to goal, and then he tees it up for himself and just tucks it away.
But to your point, wonderful examples, 3 in a row now, of just how quickly that this Miami FC side has been able to break the lines of pressure for Monterey Bay. And I want to be very clear, this Miami team absolutely can play Route 1, no doubt about it. we're also seeing that they can have purposeful directness, and there's a big difference, right, between going route one, verticality only, and being very decisive in your build-up. And I think the sequences we've seen from Miami of late have actually been quite good and quite clever.
Well, you had mentioned it earlier about, as a defender, you want to make the next play predictable, and when you can have that hint of direct route one football and you're finding space just like this.
Ball into the box, trickling, barely missing the side netting. Nico Campuzano has been up and down all of this second half. Questions continue to be asked.
But when first ball pressure is not making this play difficult for Miami FC, this is what you're going to have to absorb, is a ball play. There's only so much a backline can do in eliminating opportunities to get in behind, unless you want them dropping all the way back in their 18, which is not what you want, because then you're just inviting all that space. That's a poor giveaway.
Revelar driving, has the option out wide. It's Larson! And in his debut return to the starting 11, nearly had a goal to his name as well.
And Sebastian Blanco has to be breathing a sigh of relief, because that was a high-risk, low-reward play at midfield that almost turned into big-time goal for Monterey Bay. And the opportunities have been there for Adam Larson, just unable to tuck one away. And you just hope some of that doesn't turn into frustration for himself, because you know how hard attacking players can be on themselves. And as we see him subbed off, I think overall a solid reintroduction of Adam Larson into the lineup today.
Absolutely. Game reps mean a lot. When you're coming off an injury, not only are you dealing with the physical aspects, you are also dealing with the mental aspects. You're getting back up to speed. Scuff in the box and a tough takedown from both players. Adam Larson, a wonderful debut back into the starting 11 for this Monterey Bay side. As he continues to get game reps, as he continues to learn the relationship with players like Adrian Revelar, have to think it's only going to get better. A very exciting dynamic for these home fans to grow into. And I thank the fan for his sponsorship read for us. What a guy.
Just sending that reminder.
Yeah. This is a bagel corner kick. Thank you, everyone. It'll be Ethan Bryant, newly subbed into the game.
Guess they're there in person and watching.
I know, I love it. Covered from all angles. And Miami FC did not have that covered from all angles, as the ball dropped favorably to Malongo. He couldn't make much of it. And that's excellent transitional mitigation from Monterey Bay. Joel Garcia Jr., Sammy Gadiri regaining possession and finding their outlet out on the far side. There's Wes Van Guk. Ethan Bryant switches the point to Malongo. 1v1 going for goal. The space that time was actually towards the byline, but itching to make this a 2-0 game. And the tempo suddenly upticked for Monterey Bay. It's Malongo. Miami FC has cover. Doesn't hardly matter. That's well defended.
And you wonder if you're starting to see desperation kind of leak its way into Monterey Bay's attacking third, because to the point you just made with Malongo, taking it inside when all the defensive players were inside. There was no space to take that on, and it was the action to go to the byline that would have been more progressive and positive for his team. And then trying to earn a free kick. So they're trying to come up with solutions for how to break this Miami FC team down, who are doing a good job of transitioning from attack to defending. And some of the best attacking shape can come from your defensive shape. We talked about it in the first half, was the outlets, the structure, the levels just weren't there, and you've seen that a lot better for Miami FC, which I guess, to be fair, has just been the trend for Miami FC this season. I know as a coach that was always frustrating when you had teams that just could not get out of the first 15 minutes.
Sammy Gadiri, 2v3 on the near side. I think Malongo's gonna try and take them all, and nearly is successful. Miami FC finds a bit of an outlet here. That's well done from Wes Fonguk to mitigate that moment of transition. Well, Nicolas Cardona's day is done, as well as Sebastian Blanco's. Well, today's substitutions are brought to you by BBSI. Substitutions continue to impact Gaston Madani's side. We're nearing the 15-minute mark in stoppage time. Plenty of time for these substitutes to find a bit of rhythm and really impact this game. Much different than a substitute coming on in the 85th, 86th minute sometimes that we see often as set-piece targets. Falls favorable to Lucas Milano. He chooses to reset and wait for the numbers.
Yeah, Miami FC throwing a different look at Monterey Bay. See if you can create that one chance that you need to get the equalizer. And this is going to be the piece. We talk about that competitive piece, that culture piece. Finishing games off is another portion of the game that lends itself to teams that are not only playoff bound, but are bound to be tough outs in the playoff as well, because you're looking at less than 20 minutes left in the match. You have a 1-0 lead. How do you find that mix of going after the second goal that extends your lead, but also don't leave yourself available to concede the equalizer? And it's going to be where management, that intelligence on and off the ball, is going to be showcased.
Tough ball for Felipe Rodriguez to deal with. And Luther Arshmed running lateral sprints at the moment. Ethan Bryant steps up to pressure. And it's Miami FC potentially off to the races here. Quick giveaways, finds the opening of Lucas Milano. Milano drifts it outside. The runner was actually there that time, something we haven't been able to say from Miami FC for the majority of this second half.
Yeah, Monterey Bay is going to have to navigate the urgency that Miami FC is going to play with, because now, whether you lose 1-0 or 2-0, I highly doubt it matters to that man and his team. So you're going to see numbers thrown forward. You're going to see that risk reward if it means leaving a 1v1 matchup in the back, but creating an overload and some of those numerical advantages going forward. You're going to see some of those decisions made for Miami FC to climb the field at a higher rate. You can see Jordan Stewart having a conversation with Rebelar, and definitely know they're talking about the tempo of this game and where they are in the match and how they need to see this game out.
Rebelar, Malongo, And Miles Lyons looks like he's getting up to make his way into this match as well. Several strategy pieces in play. 15 minutes, oftentimes the mark for where the changes occur. Plenty of time to still make an impact. Not too much time where you run out of steam.
And I also think this is on full display of the trust that Jordan Stewart has throughout his roster, because we all know it being around this game a lot. I know players and people around the game, you always get into, are you starting games? Are you playing full 90? A lot of the conversations are you finishing games? And when you're up 1-0, and this is a match that if you collect 3 points, you're now find yourself at the top of the West, and you're being asked to go in and play a role, that's significant. And there's still plenty of time in this game, so you still have to manage an opponent.
Several substitutes coming into the match. For Monterey Bay, Pierce Galloway will enter, Miles Lyons will enter for Luke Ivanovic. That's notable. Ricardo Rivera also entering the match for Miami.
Monterey Bay FC substitution with 77th minute.
Ricardo Rivera won the double back in the day, 2021 with Union Omaha. Players Shield and the league title.
Entering the match for Monterey Bay FC, number 15, Miles Lyons. And number 14, Pierce Galloway. Miami FC.
And that freedom that Jordan Stewart gives the players, ability to problem solve and take what the game is presenting. Do you start to see the human element in this final 12 minutes?
That's probably the most positive interaction I've ever seen with the fourth official.
What we spoke about earlier, that might be that conversation.
I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
Since his insertion into this match, Luther Archmed has been active, he's been involved. You alluded to it, there has just been so much talk surrounding the tools that he possesses. We're seeing just a bare glimpse of it, but it's exciting. That ball is given away in a dangerous position to Ethan Bryant.
I think anytime you present a dual threat like Archmed, the ability to be an aerial threat, win those duels in the box, and then the ability in those 1v1 situations that we've seen Malongo in, the explosiveness, the decisiveness to get around a defender, push past, and the physicality to incur some of that contact and battle through it. And those are all the tools that are in his toolbox, and he can find some consistency. What a play here.
It's fun, Guck. Route 1 trying to slip it early enough to where Felipe Rodriguez didn't have time to come off his line, but no hesitation from Miami FC. Standing goalkeeper, reminder that Bill Hamid is not here as a part of the starting 11. Just the second start of the season for Felipe Rodriguez. Giving up the lone goal here today in the 10th minute. The main starter, however, for the 2024 campaign. A very different team here so far in 2025. And an errant pass from Malongo will give way to a Miami FC throw-in on the far side of the field.
And what you don't want to see happen for Monterey Bay is have this natural decline in your positioning, because you just all of a sudden start to kind of mesh yourself together in the defensive end, and now you're just going to invite the pressure. You're going to invite Miami FC to play some of these services, these clipped balls in and around the box, and you're just going to be quickly retreating.
It's Ethan Bryant looking for the run inside the area of Luther Archimed. Turnover after turnover. Miami FC putting themselves into some difficult situations to get out of with their lack of care to connect the first pass after regaining possession. They've dispossessed a lofted ball into the area, nothing of it, but they've dispossessed this Monterey Bay side often and in good areas, but unfortunately haven't been able to connect as they continue to send crosses into the box. Stagnant runners, however, they regain possession.
And you can see Archimed trying to wave his team out of this defensive clump that they've created. But it's just that natural thought that comes to mind when you're nursing a 1-0 lead. You want to make sure you're behind the ball. You almost think that that's the action that you're required to take, is if I'm not behind the ball, then I'm not doing. You could still down press. You could still make sure that that space is uncomfortable to be playing into.
Some of the most successful teams that have protected 1-0 leads often up their defensive pressure higher up the pitch. To your point, when you tend to merge into a blob, for lack of a more sophisticated word, you not only start to invite pressure, but you start to invite numbers. No back line of any decent caliber is going to leave 4-3-2 back when there is not one striker that is going to challenge them. So you're allowing the numbers to go forward. You're allowing time and space on the ball because you've sunken into this very, very low block. There's always a time for everything. Don't get me wrong. But to your point, Eric, I do think it would be worthwhile for this Monterey Bay side to lift out of this low block, because there have been moments that they have made Miami FC very uncomfortable building out of the back.
And typically when you do this, you're playing a team that is desperate for a goal. And when you're playing a team with desperation, I mean, your eyes get big, your spirit gets large, where you're just like, hey, I'm going to throw everything I got at getting a goal back. So you've already got some of those tactical nuances that you're going to have to deal with. But now that mentality and that commitment that you're going to have to challenge yourself with is just continues to grow, and that's going to be something as this valuable time ticks away. Monterey Bay is going to want to be cautious of.
And where teams really get into a bind, that decision between a low block, right, and going into a bit more of aggressive defensive pressure is when you have a question of tired legs and fatigue starts to come into play. And maybe you have one guy that doesn't do his rotation properly. All of a sudden, something's been vacated, a pocket's been opened up. And I will say this Miami FC side is intelligent enough to find those. So you do wonder if, given the last three of the last four matches for Monterey Bay being on the road, their first match back at home, does fatigue play a factor into this?
Yeah, that's a terrific point, because every game is not made the same, and the schedule is everybody's dealing with and navigating a different home and away schedule. Obviously, Miami FC having to come all the way out here to the West Coast to take on a team that has been
tough.
Yeah,
tough road schedule
and unbeaten at home right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Monterey Bay is becoming almost impossible to beat here in Seaside, California, and it's going to be something for Monterey Bay as you get through the season and you continue to navigate some of the congestion that the middle portion of the season presents you. You're going to have to make those decisions you were just talking about. Even just what we were talking about with Miami FC, the 6 15-minute periods, that's going to be something that's going to have to be looked at. When do you initiate that? When do you flip the switch and ramp up the pressure? When do you kind of sit back and start to sit maybe in that mid to low block, and now you're looking for some of those higher outlets? But it's going to be for these teams to look at moving forward.
A quick set piece taken from Miami. And it's a decent service into the box that actually forces a flick out to the back post. It'll go out for a corner. And they are arguing that there was head contact on the initial challenge. Take a look at this.
And they're saying that left cleat gets up to Lions' head, and they wanted the foul.
Corner kick taken in a dangerous area. Questionable clearance in that moment. We'll do it again. The in-swinger. Slotted to the back post. Right into side netting. And Francisco Bonfilio, who has been so quiet in the last 87 minutes, finds the equalizer by way of a corner kick delivery. And Miami FC, they made no mistake about it. They admitted set pieces allow them oftentimes to get back into the game, and they do it here again.
I mean, you just see him fighting off his defender. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, not only being able to track the flight of that ball from off the foot into the 6-yard box, but also dealing with the traffic in and around the box and then fighting off your defender. I mean, that is commitment, and this has been a magnificent display of professionalism and competitive nature that we've continued to highlight for Miami FC. Just absolutely pressuring Monterey Bay until they found the equalizer, and now...
My goodness, they almost do it again. That was another healthy goal brought to you by Taylor Farms. It was an incredible goal, to your point, and we have seen some immaculate skill this weekend. That was sheer will. That's a great point. Sheer competitive nature from Francisco Bonfilio, who actually, I think Monterey Bay has done an incredible job at keeping off the pitch, off of those dangerous areas. What a moment for the visiting side.
And we all know it from seeing threatening attacking players. What makes them consistent threats is that ability to be a threat at all times, whether you're on the ball, whether you're getting touches, whether you feel like you're in rhythm. I mean, I don't know if Bonfilio has had more than a handful of touches in this match.
Agreed.
But he finds himself on the score sheet, and that's what dangerous attacking players do.
They're going for it again, peppering this Monterey Bay 18-yard box. They've done so much better in the last 10 minutes at regaining the loose balls, the second balls, the rebounds, the recycling of the runs have been much better. That was a point of emphasis for you in the first half. You wanted to see improved in the second.
And I think even when you look at the corner and the big picture of this second half, they've won their individual duels.
They have.
I think they've out-battled in some of those significant areas and have tilted the field in their favor. And what we see for stoppage time, I mean, Miami FC might be looking at this and being like, hey, we can take all 3 points.
And that will be the question for Gaston Madani. How greedy do you get? What a shout it would be to come onto the road, as you so lovely pointed out, to a near fortress that Monterey Bay has made, Seaside, California, Cardinale Stadium. Do you suffice and settle for the draw, the 1 point, saying that we weren't at our best, but we showed up in the key moment? Or do you try and push? And the attitude for this Miami FC side seems like they're gonna go for it.
Intelligent play there, shielding the ball out for a corner. This last 5 minutes can be a big problem for Monterey Bay if they allow it to be.
It's Christian Vasquez over the ball. He sent in that delivery that scored the goal. A substitute for Gaston Madoni. He'll do it again, this time further to the back post. And Nico Campuzano came all the way off his line. And a near dangerous decision. If he doesn't time that right, that's a easy ball headed back across to a free runner at the near post into an empty goal.
And the point you just made with Vasquez, the substitutes for Miami FC have come in and made an incredible difference. And obviously building off of the foundation that the players they came in for had established, because this is a game of momentum, and they not only had it, but they continued and thrived underneath that momentum. And Monterey Bay seem all out of sorts right now. And the question you just posed for Miami FC, do you get greedy and go after the 3 points and go after the second goal? I would almost flip the same question to Jordan Stewart and his side.
Fair enough.
Are they okay with a draw after they've seen so much success? And how different can you feel about a match from two different halves? I mean, you look at the first 45, and yeah, Monterey Bay did give up some chances there, but for the most part, controlled the temperature of that first half. This second 45 has been completely different. And if this ends at 1-1, you leave feeling like Miami FC were the better side in terms of they could have pushed for a game winner. And then you look at the goal that wasn't called towards the end of the first half.
That's a good point.
And you do have a bit of that
That's
argument.
a very good point. And look, Jordan Stewart told us, you know, hey, we recognize this Miami team's different than last year, but he also said in that same exact sentence, 3 points for us, finally back at home, is an almost must. It's gonna be Ethan Bryant over this free kick, just outside the frame of the 18-yard box. All the runners located on the backside of your screen. It's a wall of 3. Should have no problems getting this up and over into the area. High arcing ball over Felipe Rodriguez into an open net, but deflection favorable to Miami FC. A sliding tackle, and Miami FC does ever so well to get out of that without conceding after Felipe Rodriguez completely misjudged that ball in the air.
It almost looked like the misjudgment by Felipe Rodriguez put him in position to make the save on the second action. So a bit fortunate. He goes flying by the surface, but good reaction to get up, get set.
Diane Verone. Nothing of it. It'll be a goal kick for Monterey Bay as we near the last minute of guaranteed stoppage time. Hasn't been a lot in stoppage time to think you'd have too much extra after the 5. Potentially the last few moments for either of these teams to push. And it'll be Miami. Well won by Sammy Gadiri. Appeals for a handball from Adrian Rebelar. They won't get it, and it's Ethan Bryant off to the races. Several Miami players retreating, but they've got good numbers in the box. Rest defense immaculate. And Monterey Bay actually not having the runners in the 18-yard boxes. Our head referee Brad Jensen will show a yellow card.
The yellow card has been issued during stoppage time.
It almost felt like Archimed could have made a different decision on this ball played across for Malongo. I mean, once you're past that front post, I mean, the rate of difficulty to get that not only on frame but beat the goalkeeper, it's almost impossible. So you have to upgrade your opportunity there, and with the physicality that Archimed presents. I mean, you could body out and try to hold on for another shot.
Testing Campuzano here, which is not a bad idea. He hasn't been as clean as we've seen him in games past. We started this 90-minute match by telling you he has been otherworldly at times. He seemed a bit more mortal today. And that'll do it. 5 minutes of stoppage time. And the home side, who was very dominant for large stretches of this match, Monterey Bay, concede late on a corner kick and goal from Francisco Bonfilio. And this Miami FC side continues to find a way to show up and get results.
I'm going to say what I said in the first half. They are a nuisance. They are relentless in their ideas of what they can make a match, and they didn't allow the ebbs and flows of the momentum shift affect their mindset. And we saw that goal that was not allowed in the first half. You know, a lot of teams could go look at that and have a negative mindset going into the second 45. They did not do that. They pressed on, and they found the equalizer and picked up a big point on the road.
A brilliant response. Miami unbeaten now in 4 matches. That'll do it for us. Monterey Bay FC 1. The visitors, Miami FC 1. It's Elijah Paul. It's Francisco Bonfilio. The stars showed up. We'll wrap it all back next. Welcome back, full-time here in Seaside, California, Cardinale Stadium. Monterey Bay FC let the lead slip to Miami FC 1-1 in the end. We had just about everything you can imagine.
Confessions and the elements of the game that he brings and affects is just so impactful.
Back at home, can't get the full 3 points. They'll remain in the mix for third in the table. They could have jumped to the top with the full 3 points today. For my broadcast partner, Eric Dobransky, for my entire crew, we're so happy that you spent some of your Sunday with us. I'm Marion Crowder. This has been the USL Championship on ESPN+.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.